Hi, Tasnim. Thank you so much for being with me here on the channel.
Of course. Thank you so much, Jackie, for this invite.
Of course. I feel very honored to have you with us. And this is going to be a little different from some of the stories we've shared in the past because you and I are just meeting for the first time today. And that makes me even more excited because I'm going to get to learn your story as our community is getting to learn your story at the same time. And I always start these out by saying that this is just a conversation to give people hope through hearing your story and to help them know that they're not alone. And although I am a psychologist and I've done therapy with young people for 20 years now, this is not a therapy conversation. So you're not my therapy client, just to clarify for everyone who's listening. This is just a conversation between the two of us as people. Okay. So I'm excited. And we were chatting a little bit before I hit record about how you are from Syria and you've had a journey of moving out of Syria. And
yes,
why don't we start there? Where would you like to begin?
Okay, so hi, my name is Tasnim. I was born in Damascus, Syria. And the first thing I remember about living there was like life was good. I had a great childhood. I had a great time with my family, but the theme that was really dominating there is people were suffering from the regime there. Everything was controlled by the regime. And even though the country has so many blessings, has so many good things, the regime was really controlling all of that. So people were not feeling free. And with this spring, what is it called? With the Arab Spring, with the Arab Spring starting, we had some hope, but we didn't really think it's gonna pass down to Syria. And all of a sudden, we started hearing that protests started in Syria, in other cities, and then it came down to Damascus. So at that time, I was fourth grade. It was a good feeling, to be honest. It was a good feeling, although I was really young. But I remember one day I was going back from school and I heard all of the people there, boys from other schools, they were screaming like free Syria. Mm-hmm. I held down my phone because I wanted to take a video for them. I wasn't able to record them because I didn't see them at the time, but I just was able to hear their voices. And when I came back to my house, I showed the video to my parents and they were like, you have to delete that now, immediately. I didn't know how would that affect me, like recording that video. But then after a few months, the bombing and the oppression of the regime started to come to my city when I lived in Damascus. So it was really terrifying at the time. I sometimes forget how terrifying it was because I was really young at that age. But once I start, remembering that and put myself into the state of remembering that time, I remember how terrified we were. Because at that point, the only concern for you is like, what is gonna happen next, you're not even living in the moment where you're hearing all of this. You're just thinking, what is gonna happen next? So it was a really challenging time. From 2011 until 2012. After that, we moved to live with my grandma in my grandparents' house. It was better there when where they lived. It was safer for us to go to school and to have more connection with them, because when the war starts at some point, and where the bombing starts at one place, it's expanding to all of the places around. So we had to go out from our house.
So can I ask you, Tasnim, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you asked me before to ask you questions, so I'm going to jump in. And this, of course, sounds absolutely terrifying for a child to experience the bombing of their city and of their family. And for people who are in our community who might be listening to this story, they might not understand why your parents wanted you to delete the video. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah. We were on the side of, not agreeing with what the regime was doing at the time, but we weren't able to speak because the FBI system, or like the what is it called? Like the
like secret police that work for the government type of thing.
Yeah, the spying system in Syria is really strong. Like they say there's a really famous saying that walls have ears. So even walls can hear you. Yeah, even walls can hear you. So if I had that video on my phone and I would be like spotted by a teacher in my schools, even like some classmate of mine, I would simply like be taken out as a child, or my family would be taken out to prison, or like to question them. What is our like direction? Who do we support? Do we have any, like they were really into the habit of taking everyone and question them no matter what they see. Even if they see you like taking pictures in the street, you just want to take a picture for yourself, they would take your phone and search for it and see what is happening, who are you supporting. And also one other reason is because they didn't want the media to have the tapes and the pictures of people protesting. That is one reason why they changed the flag of Syria eventually, because when people were protesting and holding the Syrian flag, the old one, the regime was taking these tapes of them and videos of them, and they were posting this as protests for the regime, and because people loved the regime, and
twisting the narrative.
Exactly. So people started holding the green flag because they wanted to be distinguished from the other party. So that's why my parents were really terrified that this video would reach someone, or even staying in my phone, because at any point we were, at any point you could have to get out of your home. So if that phone were still to be there, and who's gonna take it? What is gonna happen? So yeah, that's why. After this, we lived for 1 year with my grandparents' house, and at that point, my father didn't have a job anymore. The place that he was working in was bombed. There was really no way of living there anymore. So we started to think like, we're gonna, flee to Jordan. We're gonna see where are we gonna live. My father went to Jordan before us in 2013, and he's working as a carpenter. He carpenter here means like framing houses, but he's a woodworker. He does cabinets, kitchens, bedrooms. Not framing. So he went there. He found a job there, and after like 1 month, 2 months, I think we followed him to Jordan. I was 6th grade by that time, and since that point, I think I started to have this feeling of I have no country anymore. Even when I was in Syria, like we didn't feel like it was really our country, because when you think of home or land, like your land, your home, you think of something that is providing you with security, a place that provides you with a sense of belonging, family, all of that. I had my family there. I had all of the good memories and childhood, but I also uh, remember that we didn't have safety at any point. Even before that, everything was having the Assad's picture, the documents, everything. So we didn't think it was our own country. It was his country. So we didn't have this sense of belonging. So I started to having to think that I have to establish a sense of belonging here in Jordan. And I lived there for almost 9 years.
Okay. You and your family went from Syria to Jordan when you were in sixth grade and lived there for, you said, 9 years?
Yes.
And one of the things that is striking to me, even in our conversation right now, is that I want our community to know it's very brave of you to tell your story this way, and even to talk about the regime in this way and your connection with your land. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm sort of sitting here thinking, okay, we're recording in early 2025, and so much has changed in Syria in the last few months. I don't even know if this conversation would have been possible a few months ago. Just for people who are listening, like, this is a profound historical moment in time, and you, Tasnim, you're very brave to even talk about your story. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think if I were to tell you my story like 2 months before, I wouldn't be able to mention any of this. I would just mention like the situation in Syria. I wouldn't be able even to say war in Syria or civil war. Even this, which I don't want to mention, it's a civil war. Even this, I wouldn't be able to say because I have family back in Syria, and mentioning any of this would put them into danger. No matter how simple or no matter how I think it might not reach anyone in Syria, but believe it or not, there's spies here, Syrian spies here who tell everything to the regime back in Syria. So yeah,
it's a vast network, right? And I think that's something that people sometimes miss when we're talking about Syria, is that people who are Syrian who have had to leave Syria, they don't feel free just because they've left. Let's say, months ago or years ago, they don't feel free because they've left. They still live under the terror of the regime, even if they live in a different country.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a really good point to mention. Even after we left Syria, in Jordan, in the United States, there's also this sense of like, I'm not free. I have to live in a specific way. I have to say specific things, not for me, but for my family back there. Even for us in Jordan, also, it wasn't really secure in terms of like being a resident there. At any point, you were, exposed to going back there. So if you did anything that would support the protests, for example, or the revolution in Syria, you would be exposed to going back anytime. So we didn't want to, anything happen to us and to our families. So we didn't, we weren't able to speak freely about it. And even when we talked with our family, like in the phones, when we call them and talk to them, we can't ask them freely, how are you doing? They're always saying thank God and not specifying anything. We have to watch the news, which not always is focusing on Syria. We have to really dig for the news there to know exactly what is going. I remember there's a show that really got viral in the last few months. I think in 2024 it was really famous. It was basically a show where there's uh, where there's the one person going through the Syrian cities and asking people to invite them like for dinner, and she would take them and get the groceries for the making the dinner or the lunch. And seeing that show would tell you how the country was, was doing, how people were doing. It was really bad to watch it, and it was really sad to watch the people. Everyone was really, you like the happiness you see on their faces when someone invites them for dinner tells you how oppressed they were, and how poorly their living was at the time, because everything was so expensive, everything was so unavailable. Like now, after Syria is free, I'm hearing things that doesn't make sense to me now, because I forgot about these things. They are mentioning like bananas, for example. There were no bananas there. The regime was taking all of the simple groceries that we take for granted, and they were taking them and holding them, and making everyone who um, trade them or sells them to people a criminal, so they couldn't have any bananas or buy or sell any bananas. So that's one thing. There's a lot of other things. So watching that show would show me like how people's faces were, how the country was surviving, and it wasn't a really good state. It wasn't, and it was going bad. Like in the beginning of the year, it was the prices were something, and at the end of the year the prices fluctuated so much more. It's unbelievable. So it's really hard to watch the news, and it's really hard to reach also the news. um but people, I think even the people who were supporting the regime at the time started to get bored of it by these few last years, because it's it's unbearable. It is
Mhm.
unbearable.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were saying
No.
it's unbearable.
Yeah, it is unbearable. That's it. Yeah, I think like it like having this happening now. We didn't expect it for sure. I thought, I was thinking to myself that maybe I would not be able to see anyone of my family anymore, or until like I get my citizenship or something happens. I don't know, a miracle would happen for me to see my family. Um, Even having the citizenship, the US citizenship, wouldn't make me safe from the regime there. So I would have to think multiple times before I think about going
Mhm.
back there. But basically, a few months ago, I didn't think this would be resolved. But having things be resolved this way, it's really unbelievable. I'm really happy to see that. I think what happened lately, I think it wiped out all of the bad memories, all of the bad experiences. I think
Oh my
like
gosh,
I
that's a
had
big
a reset.
statement.
Yeah, I literally I told everyone, like, I think I have been reset. Like my mind is on reset mode. Not forgot, maybe not forgot is the good word, but everything was wiped in a way that, like, that's okay. I don't care about anything happened. I'm grateful for having my country free now, and I can go back there. I can live there again. I can talk with my family freely. This is unbelievable. So yeah, going back to Jordan, um, I think at that time we were still thinking of going back there, but at some point in Jordan we lost the hope of going back there. We lost the hope in the revolution, we lost the hope in everything. So the sense of belonging literally demolished from
Mhm.
um my sense of belonging to Syria, I would say. And at some point in Jordan I thought, this is my country. People in Jordan were really hospitable. Um The schools there were really nice. I like also the way they carry religious teachings to students. It wasn't really strict. Also, the way that teachers in schools have a connection with students, it was way better than Syria, because in Syria, teachers are basically, not all of them, of course, but a lot of them were just spies or puppets for the regime. So there were a lot of violence in the schools. I'm talking about public schools. I don't really know
Mhm.
about the private schools, but that was the case in my last year. Last year in school in Syria was crazy because it was a mixed school, so there's boys also, and the way the teachers work with boys is much more violent than they deal with
Mm.
girls. So I would see them, how they would beat the kids if they did anything like some, silly simple things. They would beat them, and I don't know. It was, I don't know how we, just mentioning this, I feel like this doesn't make any sense. Um, and I can't believe I was, going through that and seeing all of this. But remembering that Syria is free now, I can talk about these things and be safe and be comfortable that this is not gonna happen anymore. This
Mm.
is not going to happen anymore. Some people are saying even if the devil himself would rule this country, it wouldn't be as bad as the
Mm.
regime back in Syria.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there's the word unbelievable comes up in our conversation a few times now, and it was unbelievable
yeah,
the level of oppression that the people
yeah,
of Syria lived under. And now the freedom that we're seeing in just the past few months is unbelievable as
yes,
well. But when I think about you being in Syria, growing up in the school system there, the way that teachers would be spies or teachers would be violent, I mean, this is it's a it's hard to find words for.
yes,
I want to say the evil, but it doesn't make sense, is what you said.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Ideally, teachers are people in power in a classroom with children. Children are resilient, but children are also vulnerable. And so,
yeah,
someone in a position of power, like a teacher, we want them to be caring, we want them to be loving, we do
yes,
want them to have boundaries and guide children. But it's just hard to imagine a world where teachers are spies and teachers are violent, and yet that
yeah,
is the world that people in Syria like you have experienced.
yeah. Well, I mean, of course there was some teachers who weren't like this, but even these teachers were oppressed too. So it's like the whole system was broken. So
Mm-hmm.
having the opposite thing in Jordan in public schools were, was eye opening to me.
Mm-hmm.
Having teachers that are nice to you, kind to you, who would call you with your name, um, in a kind way, not like ordering you, for example. Also having these conversations with teachers when the teacher is asking you, like, how are you doing? Do you feel like you need any touch-ups on your studying? Do you think you need any extra help? um, just having caring teachers in that vulnerable time, as you mentioned, it was really eye-opening. Like, how was I living there before? How was I learning there? And believe it or not, in um, even in these situations, Syrian students are one of the most successful students. There's also Syrian college students are very smart. They always excel in all of their um, studies. So even though they were oppressed, it didn't make them unsuccessful in a way. I for sure this state of living and these situations would affect them, a lot of students. um, but I think Syrian students have proven themselves to be resilient and to be able um, to overcome all of the hardships they went through. I remember at one point in Jordan, the system of schools required us to be in, I would say, a different, like the Jordanian students would be in the morning and we would be in the afternoon, the Syrians. So at one point, my class was like 30 students, but then when we were all Syrians, it was like only 8 students.
Okay.
So it was
separated.
bad from, we were separated. Yeah. I don't know why the segregation happened. I'm still not sure. Um, from one point, I remember I was very sad because of that, because I liked my Jordanian and Palestinian friends. There's a lot of Palestinian popularity in Jordan. Um, but I also think that this segregation happened to our benefit, because the classes were really quiet. We were able to have more one-on-one conversations with the teachers. So this really helped recover, I would say, all of the things we went through in Syria. We didn't specifically talk with the teacher about everything that happened to us, but I think just having good relationships helps you recover, no matter how hard it was for you. Good relationships, also good friends who shared with me the same cause, the same situations, having to flee from Syria, from different cities. We were all going through the same thing and having to start a living in Jordan from zero, and all of us were um, having these same hardships. We were able to connect with the teachers, and it was really a nurturing community that we really became, like, bloomed in. I think living in Jordan helped me build a strong personality, a strong community. So I think that's why I really feel a belonging to Jordan. I feel that this is really where I grew up. This is where really I became the person I am today. So I'm really grateful for living there.
I'm writing down the word belonging because I feel like that's a major theme of your story and a lot of what you've had to process through these experiences. And was also struck by, during your time in Jordan, it seems like the relationships, the friends, the teachers, those connections, that's part of what was helpful. Part of what was healing for you was those relationships.
Yeah.
So you lived in Jordan, I think you said, for 9 years.
Yes.
Is that right? And then what happened after those 9 years that you no longer lived in Jordan?
So during our life in Jordan, we didn't have. So the residency in Jordan is a bit complicated because you would be a resident there, but as a refugee, and you would be assigned with the UN and with the refugee and the immigration organizations there. So for Syrians living in Jordan and other refugees living in Jordan, you were only living there temporarily until you are resettled in another country. Some people would go to France, some people would go to another European countries. Some people would go to the United States and Canada. There were some people who went to Turkey too, and the same thing happened there. You would be there temporarily until you are resettled in another country. So I think in the last 6 years when we lived in Jordan, like from 2016, we got a call from the immigration organization telling us that we were eligible. You were eligible for coming to the United States. Do you want to go through the process or not? And we of course said yes, because living as a refugee in Jordan doesn't grant you the full access to your rights, I would say.
Yeah.
It was really hard there. Like for my dad, having to work there to provide for us for a long time, he wasn't able to work because you couldn't have working documents in Jordan. You couldn't work as a Syrian, basically. Some people would go work under the table, I would say, just to be able to provide for their families. But then it became easier after that. You would be able to have your working documents, but there was a lot of restrictions for refugees and for Syrians, to be specific. So we for sure said yes. We wanted to be resettled in the United States, and since 2016, the process started and it completed until Obama's what is it? It's like the timing, the time period.
Oh, his administration?
Yeah,
like when Obama was president.
Yeah.
Okay.
When Obama was the president, we started the process. It was in 2016, after his ministry ended and Trump started. Our process went through a lot of latency because of all of the changes that happened to the country, and the refugee. I would say the refugee state or situations of the process. It changed a lot, so we weren't able to come to the United States until 2021. So we came in 2021, but it was a whole 6 years that we lived in the state of not being sure if we're gonna come here or not. Are we gonna be settled or not? So there's also the theme of unsettlement. Not in Syria, not in Jordan, and here now. Finally, I can say I feel more settled. But now that Syria is free, I feel unsettled, but in a good way.
Yeah.
I want to go
unsettled in a good way. Oh.
Yeah. The first time I feel unsettled in a good way.
I know, this is interesting in our conversation. I feel like we talked about unbelievable in a terrible way, and now unbelievable in a wonderful way for Syria.
Yes.
And then the unsettled was like you and your family lived for 6 years in an unsettled state of not knowing will we stay. Well, first off, after leaving Syria, it was like, we are now in Jordan. We hope to go back to Syria, then losing your hope of going back.
Yeah.
And then being in Jordan, being called and told that you were eligible to go to the United States.
Yeah.
But then 6 years of being unsettled, like, will we stay in Jordan? Will we go to the United States? And I don't know how anyone can feel settled when they don't know what country they're going to be living in.
Yeah.
For that year, for that month. And I think there's like this uncertainty that people in that situation live with every day. And for people who haven't had that experience, I think one thing I noticed is that, and this is me sort of explaining to the community who might be listening, first off, when someone is designated by the UN as a refugee, that is a legal process. So if someone goes to another country as a refugee, that is a legal process. It's not an illegal process. It is a legal form of immigration, of resettlement.
Yes.
I think sometimes people have this misconception that it means someone is illegal, and that's not true. And that's something I like to clarify. And that's why
thank you so much for explaining.
That's why your family had to wait for 6 years, because the laws changed, the policies changed.
Yeah.
And you were abiding by the laws, right?
Yes.
But that meant that you lived in a state of uncertainty for 6 years. And as is often the case with refugees, you didn't have a choice as to what country you would go to or be resettled in. You just got a phone call saying you are eligible to come to the United States. And then even then, you and your family had to wait for 6 years to see whether that would actually happen or not.
Yeah. Also, let me clarify one thing. When we got the call in 2016 that we were eligible, the eligibility means you're eligible to start the process, but at any point, if they see that you have connection to the regime, they would stop this, or connection to any like terrorist groups in Syria, because at the time, like 2016, there was like a million thing going on in Syria. So
Yeah.
if they found that you're connected to any of that, they would stop the process. They were asking my father, I think, if he served in the military. Um, they asked about the history of our family like for 10 years before we came to Jordan. So they ask a lot of things, but the thing is, it's all legal. That's why, even though we were in this state of uncertainty, we knew that if our process got to be finalized, we're going to be fully legal in the United States. Where another people at the time, Syrian people or like another refugees, they were taking the route where they go to Turkey, and then from Turkey they would go to Greece, and then go to Germany, which was a really, I think it was a really dangerous route for them. But at the same time, I wouldn't be able to blame anyone of them, because at the end of the day, no one had any choice. But a lot of
Right.
people was killed, or killed on the way, because of like the borders, the military on the borders. Sometimes they would die in the sea, in the ocean. I don't know. A lot of things happened. But I'm grateful that all of our process was legal. And my father, although at the time we got a lot of invites from our Syrian friends in Jordan to like come with them, let's go to Germany, it's a lot better in there, I know that. But my father preferred to stay in Jordan in the uncertainty of living, and having me as the oldest daughter, graduating from school, and having the uncertainty of me being able to study in college even. He preferred that on putting all of us into danger of going through the sea to reach to a better country.
Yes.
Yeah.
People who have been forced to flee their country, they're in such oppressive circumstances, and like you said,
Yeah.
often don't have a choice. And many
Yeah.
of them die. Many of them die
Yeah.
on that journey or in the waters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember sometimes people would call it like the cemetery of the sea. Like it's a terrible,
Yeah. Yeah.
horrific phrase, but so many people have died trying to just live a free life as a human being
Yeah.
because they didn't have a choice where they were living.
Yeah.
So, okay, so your family was living in this uncertainty and this flux for those 6 years, those last 6 years in Jordan.
Yeah.
And did you move from Jordan to the United States in 2021?
Yes. In August
Okay.
2021.
I'm looking down at my notes.
Yeah.
At that point, where were you in terms of your education? What grade were you in?
So in 2021, I was gonna start my third year in pharmaceutical studies. The thing is, as a Syrian, especially, you can't study in public universities where the fees are much less. You can't do that, so you either have to go to a public university by someone, having connections to someone who would ease the process for you. I think as a Syrian, you can't study in public schools. Having to go to a private university, it was much harder also, because the fees there would be really high, and I didn't want, like, having to live in Jordan. I knew that my family wasn't in a state of like they would be able to fund all of my studies, and I wasn't. Since we got out of Syria, I had that sense that I have to be responsible for myself. even if my family would, offer me to pay for my college, I wasn't going to ask them for that. So I started, when I graduated from high school, I started applying for a lot of scholarships where I'm able to study in private universities. And I had this feeling that I was, at the end of the day, gonna be accepted in one of them, because my grades were really high in the high school. But at the same time, there was this I would say percentage of, like, I would not be able to study. So that's one thing why living in Jordan was hard, because even if you were really successful at your high school, you might not be able to get a scholarship, which would not allow you to study. And a lot of my Syrian friends in Jordan went back to Syria because they weren't able to get any education in Jordan. So I applied for a lot of universities. Some of them had this system of, like, at a competition where you apply, and they have your grades. They ask you what major you're interested in, and they would make a competition based on that.
What do you
One
mean competition? Like, so sorry, I just
competition.
wanted to clarify. Like, you're competing
Yeah.
against the other applicants, you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah.
So basically, other universities would basically do the competition based on the grades of your high school. But this specific university I went to, and I remember I applied for, I think, not civil engineering. I don't know. I applied on this university in interior design. And the competition was, we had to draw, like, a room. They wanted to know, like, our dimensional consciousness and how we see spaces. They made us meet with the president of the university to have a talk with them. Yeah, it was a nice
Wait,
competition. It was fun.
before you go, okay,
Yeah.
so before you got into the school, they
Yes.
were having you do this competition of like
Yeah.
interior design, and you met the president of the school, and this is all before
Yeah.
you're admitted.
Yeah, it was like
Okay.
applying for a job. It was fun, to be honest, because at the time
Okay.
I didn't believe I'm gonna go to any university. So having this,
Mm.
doing all of these steps, and I was one of the people who completed to the final, like, stages of the competition. So I thought, maybe I'm gonna get this scholarship. Especially when I met the president. He was really, like, happy with what he talked with me and what he saw. Like, I showed him my drawings, and I was drawing since I was young, so I was really good at drawing at the time. uh, so it was really fun, but this didn't happen too. I think the person who got the scholarship was also a Syrian friend of mine. I was really happy for her. But they gave me, I think, a discount. They gave me a pretty high discount, but I didn't take it because I didn't want my family to pay anything for my tuition. So I
Oh
gave
my
up on that.
goodness.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
so the school offered you a really high discount to go
yeah,
there, but you didn't want your family to pay anything at all. So
yeah.
you
I think
decided
they
not to
gave
go
me
there.
like 80% discount or something.
Wow.
I would just have
Okay.
to pay maybe the registration fees, and like very little, but I didn't want them to pay anything. I didn't get a coat even on that university. One university I went after, I think it was the American University in I don't remember its name, but it's like the American system. They
Mhm.
also gave me a tour in the university. So that's a really stressful and also fun in a way. I was
Mhm.
stressed out because I would go to the university. I would like it. I would love to study there, but at the same time, I wasn't sure if I'm gonna study there. So I really like the American university. I remember when we got the tour, they asked us like to specify the major. I told them I wanted to study pharmacy, because the way I evaluated that, because um, I saw that my grades were like it's percentage, so I got 91 out of 100. So the students who got the same grades went into pharmacy. So that's how I
Oh, okay.
evaluated that. Um, yeah, that's how we basically work with it. We don't really think into what we want. We either go with what our grades offer us based on what we had in our high school. We decide based on that. So I
So you're
applied for
saying,
pharmacy. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you again, but I just want
Okay.
our
No.
community to understand clearly, because it's very
Yeah.
different from the way
Yes.
people think in the United States, right?
Yeah.
So here in the United States, someone in high school might think, oh, what am I interested in? Or what do
Yeah.
my parents want me to do? Or what's my passion?
Yeah.
And you're saying it's different because you were thinking, well, you sound like you're an excellent student. That seems very
Thank you.
obvious. You had
Not
high
so much.
grades.
Yeah.
You're saying no? No, you were not an
Not so
excellent
much.
student?
Yeah, I have my friend got like 98 or something.
That doesn't mean
She's
that you're not an
amazing.
excellent student. Okay, I take back my comment. I'm not going to compare you to anyone, but you're saying because you had like 91 out of 100,
Yeah.
that you were thinking, okay, the other people with similar grades are going into pharmacy.
Yeah.
And so that's what I should probably study.
Yeah, they were basically going into pharmacy and engineering. But also one thing, there's also the parents' preference. Of course, we have that too.
Oh, yes.
But the grades would be the thing you base your major choice in. So I think in the regular application for school, you would put the most thing you want in the beginning. I put in the American university the application was pretty much the same. I put pharmacy in the beginning, and then I put engineering, I think, and then I put English literature, and then I put maybe interior design and other like arts, which I was interested in. So I put them in the last because
But
they
lower
didn't
down,
really.
right?
Yeah, I was really interested in these, but my parents wanted me to study pharmacy, and I agreed with them because at the time, being strong would mean you would have either a strong um, like a degree, or like a strong financial situation. And the way I thought maybe I would help my parents in Jordan is by getting a degree that would help me help me build a business. But pharmacy also pharmaceutics in Jordan is a really good field, but Syrians weren't able to to work in that. I didn't know this at that time.
Okay.
So
So
yeah, even though I
So
studied pharmacy, after I graduate, if I graduated there, I wouldn't be able to work there. I don't know. There may be a way. I'm not sure actually, but that's what I heard, that pharmacies do not accept Syrians to work there because of the laws in Jordan. So I applied to the American university. I was accepted, but to study the English literature. And they gave me also a pretty big discount, I think maybe 60% or something. I also said no, because like, I don't know how to explain it, but since I was maybe like 10th grade or something, I started to sell my artwork. So I was like, by the time I was applying to schools, I was already working. So I didn't want my parents to be responsible for my tuition. I didn't want them to have this burden, you know?
Yes.
Although my father's situations were really better than when we started in Jordan, but still I didn't want him to care about this, you know? So I settled down for like a few months. And then I heard of a scholarship happening in another city in Jordan. Um, it's pretty close to Amman. The oh my god, my English.
The capital.
The capital. Yeah, I was living in Amman, the capital. So this scholarship was in Zarqa, which is pretty close. I think 1 hour ride. Um, so I applied to that one. I think this one is funded by the UN or something. It's funded by some organizations, and it's for Syrians to study in that university. But it was very competitive, very competitive. So I went there. We had the tour. We liked the university. Same process. But then we had to put the measures we wanted and put our grades, and the evaluating would be based on our grades. And I noticed a lot of a lot of the people who applied with me, they had like on average the same grades as me. Even people who had higher grades were applying for engineering. Either civil engineering or architecture. I wanted to have architecture at the point. But when I saw a lot of people applying, I thought to myself, like, maybe I wouldn't be accepted because it's very competitive. And
you were
people
comparing
who,
yourself to the other
yes,
applicants, the other students. Yeah.
people who had higher grades than mine, they were applying for architecture. So I put pharmacy in the beginning, and I put architecture after this. And I was hesitant to do that because with pharmacy it needed more grades than I had in this university specifically. The students who go into pharmacy, they would have higher grades than mine. But because in this application I saw a lot of students applying for architecture, I thought maybe the grading would be different. And I think that was true because after this, I got called by the university that I was accepted in the first phase of the evaluating, and I'm able to continue my process. So that was great.
Yeah.
And after this, they would, I think the process from that point were just making sure we're like residents in the country. We weren't gonna like leave from the first few semesters. They want to make sure that you're gonna really benefit from this scholarship. So I went through the process, and the day of the last, the last step of the process, uh, something really strange happened. I was going there, and it was my first time taking the public transportation. I didn't know how to really like go into buses, and it was traveling for me because it's a different city. And usually when I was applying for these universities, the bus of the university would come and pick us up, because it was like they are promoting for themselves. But with the last step of the process, we had to go there ourselves. So I think I went into the public bus, and something happened, and I didn't know where to have them, to stop, where to stop. So the bus stopped in a very like strange place, and I think something happened to the bus. I don't know why I got down from the bus, but I didn't know where I am. And I was calling my father, calling everyone. No one was answering me for some reason. And out of nowhere, I saw in this freeway, I saw the same university bus stopped at like a few steps ahead of me. So I rushed there. I told them, like, I don't know where I am. I called my parents. No one is answering. Please take me to the university.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
don't know how I trusted, the guy who was there, but he told me, like, okay, let me do that. But we have something happening in the bus. We're trying to fix it, and then I'm gonna take you to the university. Uh,
Wow.
and
Wait, so the bus that you saw, it actually had the name of the same university you were
yes,
trying to go to,
yeah, that's
and they were
usually
like,
what.
and they were stopped there.
Yeah, in the middle of the highway. In the middle of
What
the
are
highway.
what are the odds? And like you got off
Exactly.
on basically you don't know where, and then
Yeah.
randomly there's a bus for where you're trying to go. It's stopped right there.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh my
and
goodness.
when he told me, like, we have to fix something, I thought, like, the time is gonna pass. I had only like 1 hour, I think,
Oh,
before I had to complete my documents and give them everything. So I thought, like, oh, it's done. I'm like, I have to give up
oh,
on it. And then 10 minutes after that, I was still waiting because I was waiting for my parents to tell me what to do. So like 10 minutes after, the bus, the driver called me, and he told me, like, come on, we finished fixing the bus in like 10 minutes. And he told me it needed much more time. So on that specific moment, I thought maybe I'm gonna be accepted in this university. It's like I took it as a sign. And like
yeah.
2 days after, I was accepted. So it was really
Oh
a
my
happy moment for me.
goodness. What a story.
Yeah, it was.
Again, like, what are the odds that that would happen? And the bus got fixed sooner
Yeah,
than the driver thought, right? And
yeah,
then, wow. So
it was.
were you trying to go, were you going to the university to submit documents, you said, and then you got
Yeah,
there in time?
yeah, I had to submit my last documents. They ask you for a few legal documents, and to know that you're a resident here, a legal resident in Jordan. So I was going to submit all of that. And there I think there weren't no online process, so I had to go there. And there were not any bus, like any university buses or anything, so I had to use the public transportation, which isn't really hard that I now think about it. Um, but for like a high school graduate, it was really hard for me. I couldn't, learn about this before, because high school in Jordan was a very big deal. So you're just focused on high school. You're not focused on building any like skills
Life
for your
skills,
life.
like riding
Yeah,
the bus. In your
yeah,
defense, I feel like anytime I'm learning the public transportation system of
yeah.
anywhere I go, it can be very confusing
It
when
is.
you
Yeah,
haven't
it
learned it,
is.
right?
Yeah. And
And so,
usually there's a guide in the bus who would tell you, like, the next stop is gonna be this and that. They would
mhm.
tell you. But on that bus that I went with, the public bus, they didn't have no guide. So that's why I stopped in a random place and I didn't know where to go. I think maybe I even stopped after, like, the stop I had to stop at. That's
Mhm.
why I was so confused. I didn't know what to do. And like out of nowhere, the university bus came. So I took it as a sign.
I think it was a sign. I'm going to agree
Yeah,
with you. That was a sign because you said you got accepted.
yeah, yeah. It was really great. And it was a full scholarship. It's fully funded by the university. And more of that, they would give you financial aid for your school years. So it was exactly what I asked for and more.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wow. So exactly what you asked for and even more.
yeah. So yeah, I started studying pharmacy in Jordan. It was really great. It was an adjustment because all of your school years, you're learning English as a, as another subject. There,
Mhm.
like, the English learning system is really strong in Jordanian schools, but still you're not able to practice the language as much, unless you go into, centers to learn English. um, I was really good at English in my school. I think the exam, the high school exam, I only lost 1 point, like on one question, but
Oh my gosh.
still I wasn't able to, to converse in English. I wasn't able to speak. But when I got
Oh,
to
wow.
university, all of our study was in English. Everything, the medical terms, even like the professors were speaking in English. So it was a big adjustment for me.
Okay, I feel like this is something that students here, it might be hard for them to understand that not only did you have all the overwhelm of starting college and beginning your studies in pharmacy, but
Yeah.
all the studies were in a language that is not your first language. And
Yeah.
so, to clarify that, like when you were in school in Syria, was everything in Arabic? Was that your first language?
Yeah, in Syria, English is much less looked at. English teachers in school, I don't know. In my school, they weren't great. The English we learned in school was really weak. I wasn't able to read properly, speak properly. Speaking wasn't a thing. Writing wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
thing. In Jordan, it was much more focused on. English subject in school was a really important subject, and they would make us write a lot. Um, and
And then,
there
but
was
most
some.
of your studies in Jordan, most of your studies were in Arabic still,
Yeah,
right?
still, yeah, everything in Arabic. Yeah, in
And then
Syria, even the
English.
university in Arabic. But in Jordan, once you go into the university, everything turns into English. I'm not
Okay,
sure about
so
any other majors, but for pharmacy especially, and medical, the medical field in general, everything is in English, because the medical terms are much easier to learn in English than in Arabic.
right, and then so for anyone listening to this who is a student, what this means is like if you were in, let's say, someone here in the United States, their classes in high school are probably all in English, and they might be studying a foreign language like Spanish or French. And then they're going to go into college and all of their studies are going to be in Spanish or French. Like that's the
Exactly.
parallel you're talking about, just so people
Yeah,
can really grasp like
exactly.
how difficult that is and
Yeah,
how impressive it is that you were able to study pharmacy in English in this way is very impressive. And I hear what you're saying too, that the terms, they're medical terms
yeah,
that were probably, I guess, originated in English or at least studied in English and then
yeah,
taught in English. And you're becoming more of like it's more like studying for a career or becoming a professional. And so they're using
yeah,
English to teach it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it was a big adjustment for me, I think, especially in the first semester, because also something really different from here is university students, or college students. We basically, universities are more common. We don't go into community colleges. We don't have this concept as much.
Okay.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
the AA degree, the associates, is called diploma, um, and the bachelor's is the more um, known one. We go straight into university. So when I got to university, they don't give you a study plan and you're free to pick whatever you want to study from. They give you the plan and you have to abide by it. You can't study something else out of interest, or like, you have, especially with the scholarship program, you have to take 18 units to, I think, 19 units to 21 units per semester. So I didn't have the freedom of choosing what I wanted to study in the first semester. So the first two subjects I studied was anatomy and physiology, which had so many
So
new
many
vocabulary. And it
terms to
was,
memorize. Oh my
yeah,
goodness. All in English? Well, sometimes Latin,
yeah,
I guess, but
yeah.
not
It has the
Arabic, right?
Latin root, but like
Mhm.
studying all of this in a foreign language, whatever it is, was really hard for me. And memorizing all of this, thankfully I was drawing, so I would spend all of my time drawing all of the things and not memorizing the things I had to remember. um
Oh.
but yeah, I think my the first semester was good. I passed everything. I didn't fail any subject in my years in pharmacy, but it was really hard to adjust to that. And I think after 2 or 3 semesters studying there, COVID hit and all of the
Oh,
things
COVID.
became, yeah.
Oh, great. The pandemic, I forgot. Okay, so COVID
Yeah,
hit while you're in Jordan 2 or 3 years
yeah,
into university. Okay.
yeah.
What was that like?
So I was accepted in the university in 2019. 2020 came. I think I was 2 semesters down, or maybe 3 semesters. I'm not really sure. And everything started to become online. And I think online studying wasn't a thing before that, but especially in our system. I don't know about the United States, I'm not sure. But like for Jordan, it was a big and a huge thing to have. We were, lost for a lot of time before we went into online studying, and once that started, a lot of chaos happened. So yeah, that how it went.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and I can't speak for everyone here in the United States, but I was teaching as a professor during the COVID pandemic when we went online.
Yeah,
It was a lot of chaos, and we were all lost. Teachers, students, parents, families. It
yeah.
was a lot of being lost in chaos.
COVID was a lot of chaos, and there was, at some point, there was a curfew, and um, there was also, I don't know the term for it, but like you're not allowed to go out of your house. Um,
Okay, so for curfew, is that like you can't be out past a certain time?
yes, yeah,
Okay, and then sometimes people use the word like lockdown
yeah,
or
lockdown. Yeah, exactly.
okay, you're not
So
allowed to go out of your house. Okay, yeah.
yeah, so there
Mhm.
was, when the lockdown started, we were in the beginning of the semester. So I remember at that time, because a lot of things were, not decided yet in the university. We didn't care much about our studies, and we would like have the meeting going, and being sleepy, eating, not caring about it. And
Like the
I
meeting, the school session is on the computer and
yeah,
you're just like
yeah,
zoned out. Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
I regretted that a lot when the exams came.
sure.
But I think on that time I was able to reflect a lot on like everything that happened and how I became a university student and all of that. Um, Also, the bad thing that happened, that after I really worked on my personality and being outgoing and being able to talk to people, the lockdown came and I wasn't able to make any friend in my university. It was really depressing, because in the lockdown, like, we needed friends to connect with, but like in the online meetings, you're not really able to, socialize with everyone, and having, these little chats that would sometimes bloom into friendships. So it was really really hard to adjust to that. um our lives was just like studying, being with the family. Even my father wasn't able to work on that time because of the lockdown. But something really fun happened, and I tell people about it from the United States, and they're like stunned by it because, okay, hear me out.
I'm like, where's this going? Okay, I'm
Yeah,
ready.
this is gonna be fun. So in Jordan, the housing system is like buildings. So we have many floors, and there's the roof at the top, and that's how every neighborhood, there's a lot of buildings. It's not like only 4 to 5 floors. So when the lockdown happened, although we were like afraid for our health and everything, but we were really like bored. We wanted to connect with people. So neighbors started to go to the roofs of their buildings, and we would have meetings there, and we drank like coffee together,
Oh,
chatted together. Um, Especially like women of the of the building, we would go there, and like especially at the sunset time, and we would also like like some the young children would play with the other neighbors in the other another roof. They would wave to each other.
on the roof?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
because buildings were like kind of close to each other, you were able to talk with people from roof to roof. So it was really fun. It
Oh
was
my
really fun.
goodness. So the roof
Yeah,
became like a cafe, like a sunset cafe
exactly.
to
Yeah,
drink coffee and spend time
yeah.
together. Did the roofs have like, if there are multiple stories, did the roofs have like a gate around the edge, or
So
is just
so the
a
roof
roof?
is basically another floor, but
Mm.
without a ceiling on top. It would
Uh-huh.
so the roofs, they're not, they're pretty simple. Like they only have the some storage and the water tanks, all of this. It wasn't a
Uh-huh.
pretty
Yeah.
place to be in, but just having the sky above you and neighbors around you and neighbors from across the street, it was really nice.
I
So we
mean,
would have fun on that
yeah,
time. It was a
it
pretty
sounds
highlight.
fun.
Yeah.
It sounds, honestly, it sounds beautiful to be with neighbors on the roof at sunset and connecting with
Yeah.
people during a time of so much
Yeah.
isolation. And I
Yeah.
sometimes think of it like, I wonder if, I mean, I never wish that COVID would have happened. I don't wish the pandemic on my worst enemy, but
Yeah.
maybe those neighbors wouldn't have connected if they
Yeah.
didn't have that. So
Um
something
yeah.
good can come out of it.
Yeah, well, we had connections with the neighbors before. We would visit each other, but because we're really caught up in our everyday life, we didn't have much time to spend together. But now that we have lockdown, everyone have nothing to do. We went into the roof and started having conversations and talking, and it was a lot of fun. We were um, most of the time we would like condemn the people who are not taking care of their health, but we were basically not taking care of it because we were gathering in all of these big groups. But yeah, it
But
was
I mean,
fun.
in a like open air, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
just the sky above you. So,
yeah.
uh,
And we got to know new neighbors, and yeah, I think this was like the best moments in the lockdown, because even my I have one member of my family. I have my aunt's family in Jordan, but we weren't able to visit them because their house was like 10 minutes away, and there was the curfew and the lockdown, so we wasn't
well,
able
right.
I wasn't able to go to anyone's house. um Everyone was locked down, so the only people we can connect with are our neighbors, which was really nice, and it also allowed us to um like disconnect a little bit from, like, um I don't know, like with neighbors living in a building. There's this internal fight of like who's gonna clean the I don't know, it's like silly fights that happens
Yeah, like
between the neighbors. Yeah.
you have conflict, or you're competing for
Yeah.
resources or something. You're against each other,
No,
right?
no, but there were, I believe there were two families in their building. They were always fighting because they lived like in front of each other, and they were fighting of um who is making the stairs not clean and who is cleaning, and they were
Who's
fighting
making the
about this.
mess?
And I was
Okay.
seeing them on the floor having these conversations and laughing together. Like, I'm like, wow, that's a big progress.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing, right? Like instead of
yeah,
fighting, they're actually having a
yeah,
conversation.
yeah. And
That's pretty
because we
cool.
didn't have anything to do, every few days we would go and clean the whole building. So yeah, it
Oh,
was.
really?
Yeah, usually we had someone come to you would pay someone to clean the whole thing. But after this, we started to clean it ourselves because no one's gonna come, you know. Uh,
Mhm.
there's a lockdown, so we have nothing to do. We would clean the building, go to the roof, clean our houses. That, you know, the simple things. But it was good to disconnect for a bit of a time. But I think there was a lot of danger, especially in Jordan. Um because there's a lot of smokers there. So when COVID hit, it was really hard on a lot of families because everyone had smokers basically in their houses, and a lot of them lost a family member during COVID. So it was some good times, but I do not wish it happens again by any chance.
Me
Yeah.
neither. Yeah. So are you saying a lot of people lost family members and
Yes.
it was dangerous for people who were smokers because, are you saying because people who are smokers don't have
There.
good respiratory health sometimes?
Yes. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. There, people who are smokers have more vulnerability to this kind of virus because it's basically attacking your lungs, your respiratory system. So it was really dangerous for them. And I believe even people who are totally fine. I had a family member who is not a smoker, who never smoked, but the when COVID hit, he was really in a danger of like losing breath at any time. So he was
Mm.
hospitalized. We got COVID too, but I think it wasn't um, that big of an issue on our respiratory health, but rather we had a really bad headache. I think it was
Mm.
different for each one. Yeah,
Mhm.
we lost our sense of. So something also happened. I don't know why I'm remembering like random memories,
Yeah,
but I
let's talk
remember
about it.
when we. Yeah, I remember when we got COVID. At the time, the curfew was only for my father. We were on in lockdown, but for workers who work in like private companies, um, he was allowed to go to his work and come before 6 p.m. So we were in our house. Everyone is minding their own business, but we all got COVID, and um, the the um, uh, the plumbing system got broken somehow. I don't know what
No.
happened.
Oh no.
And my young sister, I don't know, the children, I think it didn't affect the children as much. My sister smelled something. She was, I think she was 5 years at the time, and she smelled something, and she came to us and telling us like, don't you smell that bad smell? And we didn't smell anything. We ignored her. And a few minutes later, my sister was sitting on the balcony, and she felt something on the ground, and she looked under, and she found all of that water filling the balcony, and it was the plumbing system going down, and the water coming out of the.
So you couldn't, the rest of you couldn't smell it because you lost your sense of smell because of
Yes.
COVID, but your one
Yeah.
sister could smell it because she still had her
She
sense of
smelled
smell.
something. Yeah, she smelled something, but we couldn't like we
You
believed her,
were,
but what are we gonna do about it, you know?
yeah,
But
if you don't
then
smell it.
yeah, but then my other sister was sitting in the balcony, and she felt all of the water in her feet.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah, we had to call and have someone fix it. Yeah, it was crazy. A lot of crazy things happened during COVID. COVID.
Oh my goodness, that is so crazy. And then like this
Yeah.
piece of like the sense of smell meant that your one sister could smell it
Yeah.
before anyone else knew it was happening. And then like the flood
Yeah.
of water. Was it like a pipe or like a
It's
sink
not a pipe.
or
So each room of the houses would each room would have a drain. So this drain is connected to other pipings uh, in a big piping system, which is connected to the main street. So
Mhm.
I don't know. At the time, there was a problem with the street drain, so maybe it went big and came to our building somehow, because everyone was affected in the building by that pipe issue. But yeah, we didn't feel it unless we saw the water on the ground. It was really gross, but it was funny, because
Yeah.
like you think that smell isn't a big deal until you see how your life gets affected by it. If she
Yeah.
didn't feel
Yeah.
that water, we wouldn't know that there's a problem with the pipes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And I do think having a water problem in your home it is a tremendously stressful thing that until people have
Yeah.
experienced it, it's hard to explain. The power of water is like
Yeah.
it can destroy a lot and it moves really
Yeah.
fast and you don't know what to do. You panic in the moment. Like, how do I stop
Yeah.
this? You know?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, no, I'm grateful. This issue wasn't really big. Yeah, it was. We were able to call the what is it called?
Like a plumber or the city?
No, not the plumber. There was a lockdown, so I think the the city, we were able to call the city, and they were able to bring someone to fix it. So it wasn't a big problem. Only the
Okay.
I think only the drain of the balcony was flooding water, not every part of the house. But
Okay,
yeah,
that's
if
good.
if we didn't feel that, on an if we felt that later, maybe it would have gone to other places in the house. So yeah.
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 Okay, so this is the pandemic. You're still studying pharmacy, but from home, right?
Mm.
So is this like 2020, 2021, you think, when
2020.
this
Yeah,
happened?
2020. In
2020. Okay.
2021, in the earlier months of 2021, there was still a lockdown, but it wasn't as strict. So we were able to go in the morning. We would have a curfew. You had to wear the masks, to yeah, everything, but it was much better than 2020. um and I think around May, maybe, we got the call from the immigration organization for us to come and do all of the health testing, all of that, to complete our process. And they also ask you if you have anyone here in the country, so they would help you in your beginning your life. So we had someone here. My father's friend from school. He was living here in the United States, in California, and we told them, like, yeah, we have someone. So we were assigned to come to California. And I remember, since we knew that traveling here is really close, we started, like, um not packing, but before the packing, when the health test started and everything, you start looking at your life back in Jordan, and you think, well, now it's gonna end, all of the years, all of the memories. So it's really um It's really challenging and nostalgic. It was also in the, like, because COVID hit, I think life became uh, much worse. So we were happy that we're gonna, leave that. But
Mhm.
at the same time, it was a lot of memories, and we had my aunts there and my uncle. So we really like we have no one here. It's my father's friend from school, from the school years. So maybe we're not gonna get along. Maybe he doesn't have like daughters. Maybe he doesn't have um, maybe we're not gonna be able to have this community. And there's a lot of stereotypes about living in the United States. um, yeah, some people told us, like, don't go there. It's People are not religious, people are like racists, all of these things. And we were afraid, but there's a good part, because we knew that we're gonna have more freedom here. So yeah, I think since 2021 started, we had this nostalgic feeling like we're gonna leave. You look at everything like you're looking at it for the last time, and it was really our last time. I reconnected with a lot of my school friends. I tried to gather with them, to say goodbye to them. um, it was good memories at the end of our terms in Jordan. I'm glad I was able to live there, to have this sense of belonging. Um, and in August 2021, we packed our bags. We're a family of five, so we had like 10, 10 big luggages with us. Uh,
Wow.
and yeah, I remember going to the airport. My uncle told me, uh, "Your father is gonna be like, I don't. I'm gonna try to translate it as it is, but to also deliver the feeling." He told me that maybe your father is gonna change in the coming months. Please be patient with him, and listen to him. And I didn't know like what he meant by that. But then once we came here, and there's all of this uncertainty, and starting our lives from zero, basically, there's a lot of help from the immigration organizations. I'm really grateful for it. But even with all of this, it's still a big shift in the language, in the system, and in the way that you're um, dealing with everything, and having all of these stereotypes in our minds. We were afraid from the things we heard. um so yeah, it was in August. I remember August the 3rd. We came to the LAX. It was pretty good. I was afraid that the smell of the ocean would be bad, because usually the my only memories with the sea is like with the Mediterranean Sea in Syria.
Mhm.
It's beautiful, it's amazing, but I think because it's smaller, the smell is a bit bad. I don't know. The smell is a bit fishy. So
Yeah,
I was wondering to myself, like, is it gonna smell fishy? Are we gonna live next to the ocean? What is gonna
that
life
was
be like?
one of your questions coming to the United States. Is the
Yeah,
ocean going to smell fishy?
yeah. I
Okay.
don't know. It was a big deal for me. I hated
Yeah,
the smell
yeah.
of the sea.
It makes sense.
So
And for anyone listening, LAX is the Los Angeles International Airport here
yeah,
in Southern California that you and your family
yes.
were flying into. Yeah.
Yeah. So we came, and someone took us from the airport, from the immigration organization. And we went through the gates, and we were going basically to the car, to go to the house. And I smelled the smell that I was trying to figure out how it's gonna be. And it wasn't fishy.
It
Yeah, it
wasn't
was
fishy?
great. No, it
Oh,
wasn't.
okay.
I think it's about the humidity and it's about the size. I think because the ocean is much bigger and there's not a lot of humidity here. Um, the weather is amazing. I have to admit it. I was like stunned by the weather, everything. And August is a good month to come to California. It is a
Mhm.
really good weather in that time. Um, but there's also a lot of uncertainty. I believe the stereotypes that you have about the racism, especially, I know the United States has, and the people has developed a lot about, especially on their view to Arabs and to Muslims, because I'm a Muslim and I had my hijab before I even come here, but there's this fear that they would have Islamophobia.
Mm.
We have the fear that they have Islamophobia. So we base
Yes.
our thinking based on that before we even ask ourselves, like, do they really have Islamophobia? Are they really like this? Um, Maybe back in 2001, when the September 11th happened, I know there's a lot of challenges for the Muslim community, but now I think it's much better. But still, we have these thoughts, we had these stereotypes. So I was afraid, to be honest, to be racist, to have racism against me, to face all of these challenges, and to face the challenges with the language, because these are the things I was told about. I didn't know I have to face so many other challenges. Language, at the end of the day, language was my least like problem, because I was
Oh,
um I was studying some of the language in the university. So after we came here, there's this shift of view, like about uh, how is really life here, and about the stereotypes we had, and the judgment that we based on the challenges we think we would have, like the language, the racism. But then we came here and it was a whole different challenges than we thought. Language was one of the
oh.
least challenges we had. It's like one of the easiest things that you have to adjust to.
So are you saying you had expectations coming here or
Yeah,
fears of
yeah,
what you were expecting it would be like challenges with language, challenges with racism,
yeah,
Islamophobia?
yeah.
And then once you got here and experienced it, the most challenging things were not the things you thought would be the most challenging.
Exact. Yeah,
So
exactly.
what turned out to be the most challenging once you got here?
Um, after we came here, I really got to know what my uncle meant when he said, like, your father may be gonna change. You have to be patient with him. I think my parents, especially, they were really vulnerable when we came here, because back in Jordan and basically in our Arab countries, or in the Levant, I would say, like Syria, Jordan, these countries, um, we have this concept of like the father is the provider. He provides everything, even if you are older, even if you're a university student, you everything would be provided by your father. He's your guardian. You don't have to care about any safety, any other means, any documents, basically. uh, and documents here is a big deal. And my parents were not this strong in the community in terms of language. So because we are the younger, like me, my two sisters, we were younger, we picked up the language much faster. So we had to deal with all of the documents, with all of the translating. And this is pretty common with immigrated people in the United States.
Mhm.
But I didn't hear that before. I didn't know that this is going to be
Um,
our problem. I didn't know that learning the system and just adjusting to the system here, the school system, the financial system, like dealing with cards, for example, instead of cash. doing taxes, all of that. We didn't know about any of this. Having to do everything, very there's a routine for everything, for applying to schools, for I don't know, even I think even when we were applying to get our licenses, the IDs before we got the driver's license, um, we didn't know how to work with the system, especially that our documents are refugee documents, so it's a bit challenging for everyone to work with us,
Yeah.
even though we're fully legal. So that's I
Right.
don't know. Um,
So
yeah,
you're
so it
fully
was.
legal, you have your documents, but
Yeah.
the systems here are complicated and they're
Yes.
frustrating, even for those of us who grew up with them.
Yes.
Renewing my driver's license is complicated and frustrating for me as an English speaker who grew up here.
Yeah.
So then you have refugee documents, you have a second language, and the system is not designed to process your documents in a smooth way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the bureaucracy, do you know this word? The
Yes.
system
Yeah.
is terrible in that way, and it's going to be
Yeah.
even worse for someone moving here from another country.
Yes. Yeah. So even though we had help, I have, this is a whole thing that I have to speak about. I'm really glad that we came to California, especially because especially here there's a big community that helps new refugees, and the community we were matched with, that so the immigration organization match you with a local community that helps refugees. And the one we were matched with, I don't know if it's a matching, or like they like the volunteers they ask for it, I'm not sure. But we were connected with this organization. They're called Home Team, the Home Team, and they are basically from the Trinity Church in. I'm not sure. It's in Southern California, but I'm not sure which specific city. Maybe it's Santa Ana. Um, so they were great. They helped us with everything. They went with us through the IDs process, having our social security cards, just getting every document we needed, the health testing, because you have to do also another tests when you reach to the country. They helped us with all of this, but still, they were all speaking English. So we had to connect with them and connect with the system and do all of this. And it was a lot of load for us, especially for me, because I was the one that was speaking the best among us.
Oh, okay.
um
So because of the 5 people in your family,
yeah.
you're probably the most practiced in
Yeah.
English,
Yeah.
and you're the oldest of
Yes.
your sisters, right? So
Yeah.
there's like kind of a double burden in terms of coming
Yeah.
here and then being, I don't know the word for it, but sometimes people say like the cultural broker, like you're the connection, the bridge person
Yeah.
between your family
Yeah.
and the home team, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really great to have the Home Team. I really am grateful for them. We still are in contact with them every year. We have a beautiful gathering. We're
Mhm.
really grateful to have them. They helped us overcome the hardship of like leaving our family in Syria and in Jordan, and they also helped us to connect to someone. They were our only friends in here, and
Mhm.
our first friends, and they were families. So we would gather with them with their kids. um, they made us a welcome banner when we came here, so it
Oh,
was really sweet. They helped us a lot, but this didn't help us overcome the fact that we had to learn about the system. So um I'm really grateful. I think refugees who are coming now are not having the same opportunity. So I'm really grateful to having the, experienced this opportunity, and having these really dear friends that helped us. I remember my father when they offered us their help, and they told us about themselves and how they are an organization and they help people integrate, and they help them with their documents in the first few months. Um, my father didn't really accept the fact that we are being helped. We have
Um,
this. Um, it's not um, out of it's not because of any religious or like stereotype, but because even back in our home, asking for help isn't a big thing, we would try to survive on ourselves, and asking for help would be just to the dearest and most close to us, or in extreme situations. And even when we fled to Jordan, we didn't ask for anyone's help. My father helped himself to build himself, and to build his family from the beginning. So coming here and having to have this help, he was really challenging himself to accept that, because we didn't have this concept like it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to admit that you're going through a big change and you're going through a big shift in your life. And I remember he whenever they would come to our house and try to ask us like, what do you need help with, my parents would always offer them like coffee, like
uh,
come to have a meal. And that's how the friendship started, when they noticed that we're not really trying to use them. We're trying to have a connection with them, because we are having their help. But because they didn't my parents didn't accept it, they wanted to have this connection with them. So our connection went through a whole new level, where we're not only using them to our benefit, we are also trying to offer them something by sharing moments with them, sharing meals, and also sharing thoughts. We had a lot of great discussions with them, even though we were still like very basic in our English. I think these conversations made us really connect together and have this relationship going even after we are much settled in the country, um, and in a much better place.
yes, what you're saying is very profound because I think people living here in the United States, when, let's say, if refugees come here,
Yeah,
there are, not everyone, but some people want to help. And they have
yeah,
this impulse like, I want to give them something, I want to help.
yeah,
But what you are saying is more dignifying than that, because for your family coming here, it's one thing
yeah,
to be like the recipient of someone's help or someone's
yeah,
charity,
yeah,
versus it's more dignifying to have a friendship and a connection that's mutual. Like it goes
yeah,
both ways. So all the families give and all the families receive, and everyone benefits one another,
yeah,
is more humanizing and more dignifying, and it also
yeah,
honors that your family has so much to give and contribute as well.
yeah. And I think it helped us to like um integrate to the community, having their friendship. I think we are forever grateful for them, not only because they helped us, but because they accepted this friendship. They accepted this connection, that when they saw that my parents are having a bit of a trouble accepting only their help, they wanted to have something more, having only them helping us means like we're only using them. That's how
Mm-hmm.
my parents thought of it. And
Right.
they didn't want to have that. They wanted to give back some of that. So they would always like invite them for dinner. My mom would cook for them the Syrian dishes. So I hope that by doing that, we kind of transferred that more of a friendship and a mutual, as you said, situation. And by this, I think we were able to be helped also in being integrated. So um, I think them accepting that was a
Mm.
lot of a help too, um, to help us integrate into the community.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a it's such a profound thing that you're saying, and I'm trying to like I've experienced this myself when I'm becoming friends with people who are refugees
Yeah,
here and in other countries, but
yeah,
sometimes for those of us who haven't had a refugee experience, we go in thinking, how can I help? Do they need furniture? Do they need food? Do they
yeah,
need clothes? But what you're saying is a lot more profound. Those of us who come in maybe wanting to help actually need to receive the gift of friendship and be willing
yes,
to give ourselves and also receive people for who they are as friends. And
yeah.
sometimes forming a friendship is the best thing that we can do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I remember them asking us like, what do you need? Like
Mm-hmm.
they asked us about the clothes thing, like, are you finding everything, like are you finding everything that you need? Do you need any like clothes, any things? And my parents would say, no, no, we don't need anything. We just like, please sit down. Let's have a
We
cup
need
of coffee.
friends.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
their help was amazing. I can't even mention everything they helped us with, but this is the most thing I'm grateful for, having to have them as friends, um, and having them witness all of this journey. Now that it's like over 3 years now, and every year we get to meet them and tell them like how everyone's doing. It's really great. It's a great reflection to us, and it's a great news to someone when we tell them like we're thriving here. When they see my parents are speaking English much better now, having them seeing us becoming better and being more settled and more comfortable in the country, um seeing that, I would say proud feeling in their eyes, and their true and genuine uh, love to us, and being happy for us is really the most precious thing they would offer us. So yeah, I'm forever grateful to every family of them.
Yeah. And they've really witnessed your journey here over the three
Yeah.
years of integrating. And then you use the word thriving. Do you feel like you and your family are thriving here?
Yeah, I think we're doing really good. We like they helped us going into colleges. We are doing good in our colleges. I'm in college. I'm gonna almost finish. My sister is also going to finish. She is applying. She is studying radio technology, and she is now applying for the program. Um, my youngest sister is transferring now from elementary school to middle school. My father has changed some jobs until he reached a job that he is comfortable with. My mom is also doing something that she likes. um, in the beginning years of us here, like the first 1 year, she was still studying with an Islamic center in Jordan. She was studying Quran pronunciation and the correct way to read it. It's a really hard thing to study, and she passed the exam. So they were happy for her, even though they're not even Muslims. They don't understand what she's studying. And now she is studying in college with us. She registered to learn some English. So yeah,
Yeah.
having all of this, and I think thriving, I don't mean by it that we did like some great achievements, like we built our own business, or like uh, like we flew to the moon. We didn't do any of that, but just being able to have this basic life that the safety, this wasn't uh, available back in Jordan and back in Syria. um, just having the security. I mean, I don't want to sound like we didn't have anything back in Syria or in Jordan. Um, like in Syria, we were in a really good situation. In Syria, there's no renting houses in Syria. We had our house, you know.
Oh, everyone is an
Yeah,
owner?
yeah. Basically,
Oh,
renting
I
wasn't
don't know.
really popular. But yeah, uh, we were in a good situation in each of these countries. We were blessed in each of these countries. But having the loss of settlement had really put like a black tint on everything, you know, and becoming here and living this basic life that maybe like our house in Syria was much bigger. Our house in Jordan too was bigger, but just having this and this sense of security. The college is next to our house. Just living, the everyday basic life without worrying about what's gonna happen next is a really big blessing. um, we are also worried about our family back in Syria and in Jordan, but it's like you came out of the bubble you were in Syria and in Jordan, and you had your basic livings. The Maslow.
Oh, the
Uh,
Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay. A little psychology for everybody. Yeah.
yeah. So we went up in the hierarchy and we started seeking more things in life. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess like there's words that are standing out to me from our conversation today, like unbelievable. We've talked about in a negative way and then in a positive way. You use the word unsettled in a negative and positive way.
Yeah.
Like feeling unsettled when there's uncertainty about where you're going to live, but then sometimes being unsettled in the sense that something good might be coming.
Yeah.
And then the third word that stands out to me is belonging. And so, where are you at today in terms of, let's say, what I'm going to ask you about all three words, okay? So, it's a little bit more of an abstract, hard question. So, but the word unbelievable, what is unbelievable to you, like right now in your life?
I think unbelievable is like when I'm telling something to you and I have it like as a fact in my story, and you are stunned by it. This is unbelievable to me. I realize it's unbelievable by telling people about it. I realized everything that I went through was unbelievable. But at the time when I was going through it, I thought that like my life is much more normal than other people who lost someone of their family members or had someone going into prison or something. So unbelievable is different for everyone. But I think as Syrians, as refugees, as people who are affected by war, everyone's story is unbelievable. The turns and the plots that happens like all of the sudden, it is unbelievable. In sometimes a bad way and sometimes in a good way. When we had that call back in 2016, you're eligible to go to the United States, we started to have this hope. And on that same day, why is it unbelievable? Because on that same day, we had lost my grandfather from my mom's side. So her father
On the
died, and on the
same
same
day?
day, yeah, on the same day.
That is
So
unbelievable.
it is unbelievable to have these all of the odds coming together and all of the differences from good to bad coming together. It is unbelievable to witness the timing of everything and the flow of everything, and you realize it is not really something I chose, but it's something I would say chosen for me, and it's God's plan, God's plan,
Mhm.
and you learn to trust the process really, because it is unbelievable how it is gonna be um, turned out at the end, and it is
Mhm.
always it is always like renewing. It is always renewing. There's a bad thing after that. There's a good thing. So it is unbelievable, not in a denying way, but in like unexpectable way. You wouldn't expect what is gonna happen.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Expect the unexpected.
Yeah. Well, what is the other word? Belonging?
Okay, second word is unsettled. So like at
Oh,
this point in your
unsettled.
life,
Yeah.
how do you connect with the word unsettled? Do you feel unsettled? Why do you feel unsettled? No.
I think this is the like one of the most times I feel settled in my life these last 3 years. Um, Even when I was in Syria and we own our home basically, but we weren't settled. We moved between a lot of homes, and then last year we at the last year in Syria we lived with my grandma. So I think I moved a lot in Syria, especially in a young age, and then moving to Jordan. We didn't move houses. We lived the whole 9 years in one house. But I guarantee you, there were no one moment of settlement. I
Mm.
wasn't settled about if I'm gonna be able to study. I wasn't settled if I'm gonna stay in that house, because at any point they would ask you like go back to Syria, and you wouldn't have the choice to accept that or not. Even when we came to Jordan fully legal, we didn't flee to Jordan without our documents. We went there and we flew there. We flew to Jordan, so it was fully legal. Um, so there was no settlement. I remember like living in a house, 5 people, we need a lot of things, but when we were thinking of bringing another thing to the house, maybe some electrical appliances or something else, we were thinking like, why bringing that? We're not gonna be able to take this with us when we either when we go back to Syria or when we go to the United States. So you have no settlement of living. We didn't want to get a lot of things and be a burden for us when we are leaving. I don't know how we thought about it, but I don't remember at any point in Jordan we were settled. um and coming here, having this thought that at least I have to live here for 5 years to get my citizenship. This is the first time I can feel settled, because these
Mhm.
5 years at least I know I'm gonna be here. I'm not gonna go anywhere. Maybe I'm gonna move houses, but I know like for sure I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna try to be here to my best, because I want to have this citizenship and to have this freedom of moving. The Syrian passport. We didn't renew it. It wasn't something that we would get benefit of renewing. It wouldn't allow us to go anywhere. So we are waiting for the citizenship, not because we hate our country or something, but because it's a form of freedom. um but now, after 3 years and having Syria freed, we had this uncertainty in a good way, that now, okay, now we are thinking of going back. It is putting us in an uncertainty again, but at least we know this time it's going to be uncertainty for the good. We have this opportunity of seeing our family again. We have this opportunity that we're going to see our house again. We are gonna live in and get to know the places. Like for me, I went out of Syria when I was 12 years old, so I do not remember any of the streets, any of the places.
Mhm.
I don't remember going to a lot of places in Syria. I remember the beaches there. We didn't live close to the beach. We lived in Damascus. It was like a 4 hours ride, but I remember going there with my family when I was younger. It was great moments. So I want to go there. I want to explore the places. I want to see, like, I have a sense of belonging there, which I'm gonna tap out later. But now that I have a country, I want to feel the uncertainty of having to leave here to go there. You know, it's by
Yeah.
choice. By choice, I'm choosing to be uncertain about my living here. I want to take my citizenship, have things settled over there, and then I'm gonna go there, see how life is going there. I want to finally end that chapter, because after, especially with uncertainty, is having this something started and not having it ended. There's a lot of loose ended um, with being a refugee and being Syrian. So there's loose ended when you lose someone from your family and you're not certain if they're dead or they're killed or what is they are doing. There is uncertainty of like what happened to my home. So we left our house, but we didn't know what happened until the city opened again and someone from our family went there and the whole house was stolen. The house
Um,
was only the walls and the ceiling. That was it. So this
are you
chapter
saying
ended.
the house was destroyed?
Yeah, the house wasn't destroyed. Like, we had the walls, everything, but everything inside the house was stolen.
Oh, the belongings from inside the house were
Yeah,
stolen.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
we
Okay.
had two houses in Syria. The one we were living in, this one was stolen. The other one, was more in the middle of in the middle of Damascus, and we didn't live there because we were remodeling the house. But once the war started, my father stopped remodeling the house because it would be a waste of time if he remodeled it and it would be bombed. So this
Mhm.
is another uncertainty. But now we are choosing to be uncertain. We are choosing to not thinking a lot about staying here, but rather going there and starting our life from, I wouldn't say from zero again because we have something there, but starting your life again with a country that you thought at some point you're not going to go there anymore.
Mhm.
I mean,
And
although I feel the belonging to Syria again, but I don't know how it's gonna be. I don't have any expectations. I don't have an idea of it because um I had family members from my aunt's family went back to Syria a few years ago, and they told us like it's a whole different thing from the time we left. So I have no expectations, but it's a good type of uncertainty.
yeah, that's what's kind of sitting with me as I hear you talk about it. When
Yeah,
I hear people use the word uncertainty, I usually associate that in a negative way with like anxiety,
yeah,
or worry about the future. And what I'm learning from your story is that sometimes hope
yeah,
actually involves uncertainty in a
yeah,
positive way.
yeah. Like, we
Um,
have uncertainty about the system. How is it going to be there? How is the new president going to be? We still don't know how everything um, is going to be ruled and worked in there. But we have this hope and this good uncertainty of like we want to see what's going to happen. We want to um you know end that chapter, the 14 years and more of that. I just witnessed the 14 years. There was, for my parents, is like 50 years. But
yeah,
yeah,
decades.
we wanna finish that chapter and see what is gonna happen with this next chapter and this uncertainty that started. But we are grateful that it finally started because it ended a chapter with it.
Yes, and brought a good uncertainty
Yeah,
with it. So the third word, belonging, we've been
yeah.
touching on that a little bit as we were talking about uncertainty, but given your story up until this point, where are you at with belonging in terms of today? Do you feel like you belong somewhere? Where do you feel like you belong? Where are you at with that word, belonging?
So I want to define belonging as I grew up and as I went through all of these phases, belonging was to me is the belonging to land. We learned from a young age about our prophet's story and how he had to move from Mecca to Medina, which was a really hard time for him. And we remember his saying that if I didn't have to leave you, I wouldn't do that. So I defined belonging to me as the belonging to land, but having to leave that and leave my family behind and my house behind and everything. uh, I didn't I left them in a very young age that I didn't build that connection with them. So when I started to grow up in Jordan, I didn't have any memories that would let me um, feel longing there or like miss there. I didn't miss my house. I didn't miss anything. I just missed my family, who I had great times with. So I defined belonging there as the people you love, the people you have, especially because the only thing I remembered was my family, and because people in Jordan was really hospitable and good people, where the laws there didn't really support refugees. So Jordan as a country, it was really good in terms of people there, but not really good in our situations there as refugees. So that's how I define belonging. But now coming here, having that previous thought that belonging is people, and I started to build that community and having people, starting to talk with people, socializing and trying to find new communities that I can connect with. And in the middle of that, my country got free again after we lost all of this hope and we lost all of the memories back there. Even our memories with our family, we would remember them as like, like flashbacks, without really thinking that this really happened. Like when you're remembering scenes of a movie, and like it's just a movie, I didn't actually live that. But then having your country coming back, well, no, belonging is a different thing now. Belonging is my country, is my house, is my land. This didn't wasn't a concept before, the land, because we basically felt that the land was for the president, who owned literally everything in the country. Um, so having that now, my sense of belonging kind of shifted to be more focused on the land. But I appreciate that the people that help you feel belonging through every phase of your life. So I think I belong to Syria in a different way now. I belong to the land. I wanna. There's the very famous saying that um, the jasmine of Damascus, or like the jasmine and roses of Syria. I want to experience that. I kind of feel that now. Um, but in Jordan, I feel the belonging to the people there, the community that we had, the neighbors, the school, all of this. And here in the United States, I have the sense of belonging um, to the home team, to VOR, to Sherry. These are people, for the people who are hearing us. These are people who helped me along the way. Great people, to the Islamic community here. They really helped me overcome this stereotype of like racism and all of that. I don't believe in any of that now. I'm really open to learning about people and to getting to know other people. So in here, because I'm still living here, I still feel the sense of belonging to both the land and the people. Because like my house is here, I built a life in here from scratch, basically after 9 years in Jordan. But yeah, this is the belonging is both the land and the people. So even though I wasn't born here, but I feel that I belong to the United States and California, especially Southern California, because I lived here and I got to build myself in here too. I grew up in here in kind of way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the belonging is both the land and the people.
Yeah.
And what belonging has meant to you has shifted in the different phases of your life and the different places that you have lived and the different people that you have met.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to ask you about the Jasmine of Damascus, but I thought, oh, maybe she was too young and she wouldn't know what I'm talking about.
No,
but
it is.
When I meet people from Damascus, that's one of the main things they talk about is like, I've seen children, draw pictures of the jasmine, or people talk about the way the jasmine smells in Damascus.
Yeah, I've seen jasmine trees here, but it's not the same, to be honest. It's never the same. In Syria, I remember the jasmine in my grandma's house, especially because that's the last year of me like living in Syria, so I remember there a lot. When you come out of the building, there's the jasmine tree, like it's all around the door, the gate, and when we had to walk out a few steps until we reached the street. So it was a few steps, and alongside all of that small road, we would see different jasmine trees from all of the other buildings. There's also a yellow jasmine tree. It's a little different. It doesn't have any smell, but it's really nice. It's adding color. I remember that really vividly. And I also remember that in my grandma's house, all of the windows, she would plant something on the window. She had like mint leaves, basil. She had also some type of flowers. I don't know, but I remember the smells really clearly. So it is a thing. The smell of the jasmine there. In Jordan, in our house in Jordan, we had a jasmine tree too. So I would always be reminded of the jasmine in Syria, but I didn't feel the sense of belonging to it, you know? It's just another jasmine tree. But now I want to see the jasmine trees again. I want to smell it again. Yeah.
Yeah, in Syria.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that you do. I'm sure that you will.
Yeah, very soon, hopefully.
Yes, very soon. And so I have one last question for you in mind. But before I ask my last question, is there anything we didn't talk about that you want to share or you want to highlight before I ask you my last question?
Yeah. There's one idea that I wanted to highlight is why, like I told you about unbelievable, unexpected, unsettled, all of these terms, and for most of the times they were in a negative way than positive way. They were I had the both, but most of the times it was in a bad way. So what helped me throughout all of this was it, it wasn't, I don't like to refer all of this to myself as I'm the resilient, I'm the the one who you know um worked through all of that. But I would rather want to highlight that the faith I had, and really be thankful for the Islamic center that I studied with in Jordan. It was next to our house. It was for fun. It was like summer school. We would go there, learn Quran, but also have fun. So the way they taught us the religion, the sayings of the prophet, the holy book of ours, it was really a strong baseline for us to go with our lives, and really go through all of this with a strong mentality, I would say. Because a lot of people, when they go through that, if they don't have a baseline, that they would go back to, or like a resource that they would go back to, it would be really stressful for them, and they would lose it at some point, maybe. And it's not a mistake, of course. I have experienced some really bad situations, and even then, like, praying wouldn't be the only solve for that. I totally believe that, but I think having a strong faith that God's plan is gonna work, and um just having trust in your creator has helped me a lot along the way. And just having this faith helps you also to be grateful for what you have, rather than just comparing yourself to other people. I didn't really highlight this much in my story, but this was a huge thing in my in all of the phases, every phase. I remember myself having this like this moment of like, I want to quit everything, but what keeps
Mm.
me settled is like, no, just have your faith. Just have this moment of reflection, and believe in what God is planning for you. And it really helped me understand that I am not the one who is planning. I'm going with the flow. Whatever is coming to me, I have to accept it, and try my best to live my life in the way I think works best for me. But in the same time, trusting the plan of God, and trusting that whatever comes to my way, either good or bad, is part of a bigger plan. And whatever I'm feeling now, whatever I'm experiencing now, it is not my point of focus. I'm not living for this specific moment. I'm living because this life is an experience for me, and it's a test for me, and for my faith, and for my beliefs, and I'm gonna live another life after. That's a huge thing, that helps you to understand that, okay, I'm living now in Jordan, but this is gonna be only a phase. There's another phase after that, living in the United States. I'm gonna live here, but I'm gonna have another phase after it. And all of my life there's gonna be another afterlife. Having this belief helped me a lot to overcome the hard situations I went through.
Yeah, it seems like you've derived so much strength and
Yeah.
resilience from your faith and from trusting God's plan. And
Yeah.
I also heard you mention community in there as well, that it's,
Yeah.
you haven't been able to go through all these transitions and phases of your life just because of you and your own individual
Yes.
trying or whatever, but you have been part of a faith and a bigger
Yeah.
faith community that's bigger than yourself. And you've trusted,
Yeah.
as you said, the Creator's plan for you.
Yeah.
And you also have a spiritual perspective that this life is not all that there is. And that
Yes.
if this life is a test, you also believe in a life after this life. And that helps you go through what you experience in this life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to also say that having a community of faith, not only Islam, like the home team, they are not Muslims, they are Christian. And um, having them alongside with us, it was really helpful, because we believe, like, most of the things we have, like, similar view to it. So I think a faithful community helps, um, no matter what are the differences, but it really helps that believing this idea of there's something bigger than this that is waiting for us, and we are working for that time, not for only this moments that we are living. There's an afterlife. So I like faithful communities and being there, whatever their faith is, but having also an Islamic community after, and seeing how Muslims in California especially are living, and they have really a strong community in California. The Muslim community are really held together, and they have events together, and there's a lot of mosques. I didn't expect that, to be honest. I thought that just needing to go to pray like in the mosque would be a struggle, it would be really far and all of that, but we have like 5 different mosques around, around our house. So yeah, Southern California is a great place to live in terms of Muslim community. It is really great to have faithful community and Muslim, especially having to go through all of these shifts. But yeah, at the end of the day, there are some things that you have to face alone. And your faith is the most thing is that is gonna hold you throughout this journey.
Absolutely. Yeah, like we can lean into community and we can lean into, as you said, faithful communities. And at the same time, there are moments where we have to go, we're going to be alone. And our faith, that's where our faith can hold us together. Sometimes people talk about like a transcendent belief, a belief in someone or something greater than yourself. And I just think it's really beautiful. I mean, I like faithful communities myself. And I shared with you before our call that people who watch our YouTube channel come from all sorts of different perspectives and backgrounds and spiritual beliefs. And I love having these conversations because I think I learn. So, personally, like I do believe in God and I am Christian. But I find it's like beautiful that you and I get to have this conversation because I feel like I learn more about God by hearing your story, And so
you reminded me of something. After like I got better at English and got able to have conversations about faith with more people, I share with them and they always tell me like having these conversations, even though we come from different backgrounds, we are nourishing our faith with these conversations. So no matter what's your background, shared faithful community and shared this sense of belonging, but to God this time, not to a land or people, belonging to a creator and a faith and practicing something. I think practicing comes in handy at some points because like for example, praying, there's the praying, the practice, and there's praying when you ask God for something, like submission, for like submitting or submission. This is also a part of being this is also a part that we believe that we get rewarded for. So asking God for something when you need help, and or when you ask God for guidance or something, that is part of our faith. And we believe that this nourishes our faith and helps us become more stronger in our faith. So just having this idea that whenever I ask my God, He's gonna hear me and maybe not accept my prayer, like and make it come true, but just the practice of asking God, that was something that helps us and helped my family, because like when we lost hope in making anything with our hands, we would say, yeah, let's pray, let's ask our God for guidance, let's see what's gonna happen after that. And we would feel that we did something on our end, like we so prayer comes helpful when you've done everything that you can do, and then you also like you see that nothing, like some doors are closed for you. So when you ask God for guidance and through the hard times, is helpful for you, because it's telling you that you are still doing something, you're not giving up. and also in the good times, when you're asking God to keep that good times and to flourish it more and let it, be more. Um, this is also a part of um, being grateful and feeling that you are not just living your life without remembering who is responsible for making you live these good times.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think we share this concept of praying, of like living with the idea that we have to care about our afterlife, or like we have to care for others, because this is our purpose in life, is to build this earth, to give back to the community, to not be useless and just use the resources around us without giving something to other people, without, like, for example, I always like told the home community, the home team, that my purpose is like I wanted to help someone here as you helped me. Um, so yeah, we work with that. We feel that they feel that they want to help other people. I feel that I want to help other people, even in the moments of need. Um, we share that concept that helping each other would help us resolve our problems, even if you help someone and they didn't know about your problem necessarily, but helping them would help you heal yourself in a way, and would get you to a point of accepting what is going on with you, and maybe somehow it's going to open a door for you through helping that person.
Mhm. Sometimes serving other people is actually healing for us.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we don't necessarily serve them to be healed ourselves, but we
Yes.
can. It's like an ironic after effect or an ironic side effect of serving and helping other people, is that we are healed in the process. And we need each other and we need community. We were designed for that, I believe. So okay, I have my last question for you. So I have found that with these interviews so far, I'm asking everyone the same kind of ending question. The question is, what do you wish you knew when you were younger?
I wish I knew that that language would be my least, concern. I wish that I didn't have this huge stigma among language, and it's gonna be this huge problem that I have to adjust to, even in Jordan, because before I came to Jordan, they told me like the English system there is really strong. You're gonna be bad. You're gonna have bad grades in school. So yeah, the English language was a really big thing. I wish I didn't stress so much about it.
Okay.
Because once you're in the community and you're talking to them, it's not that big of a deal, because even if you like signed to each other, you would be able to understand each other. I wish I focused more on educating myself on the system, um, and to be more. Okay, let me go back to your question, because you were asking me some things I wished I knew before I grew up, or some things I wished I knew when I was younger. Is not to stress about the things I expect is gonna be a source of stress. Not stressing over the things people tell me to be stressed about. Um, the other thing is, um, I wish I learned to accept more that God's plan is is the best of plans, because alongside my journey, a lot of the times I was reaching that point that I want to control everything. I want to um, have the control over my life, but every time I was losing control, and every time I was given the same lesson over and over, that you're not fully in control. And the last thing, I wish I knew when I was younger that hobbies and the things I like to do are the things that really will hold me together. Um, Maybe I haven't tapped that a lot into our conversation, but since I was younger, I was drawing and painting, and it was really a hobby of mine. But alongside my journey, every time I would say, "This is only a hobby. I'm just gonna let this be a hobby, and I'm not gonna develop that into something else." But when I started living in Jordan and grew up there, and I found that maybe I'm not gonna be able to study in university. I had to start something, and the only thing I was able to work with my hobby, the drawing, the paintings. It allowed me to um, root myself again into the earth and into the world I live in, um, and it allowed me also to build something. I started a business there, and I started drawing people and selling the artwork, and it was really good at the time. It helped me feel that I'm responsible financially of myself. And now that I live in the United States, I went back to studying graphic design, and I realized that why not in the beginning I believed that my hobby was the thing I had to go back to. If I used my hobby to help me throughout the way, I think maybe it was much easier than going to maybe other resources, or thinking that stressing a lot about having friends in college, for example, would be um, something I had to have, where it wasn't possible at the time because you know, COVID hit and everything was online. And even coming here, my language wasn't that strong, and I don't have the same background as college students, so I don't really connect with them. So I stressed a lot about different things when I just would, go and draw and paint and would just, you know, um, overcome all of these stressful situations. So, yeah, basically, going back to your hobby is the best thing you can do for your mental health. The second thing is not stressing over the things people tell you to stress about and you think you have to stress about. And the last one is not trying to control everything. I wish I knew these when I was younger, because these are the most things I struggle with and made me feel uncertain and made me lose the sense of belonging.
Tasnim, thank you so much for being with us on the channel, allowing me to interview you about your story. And this has been my honor. So
thank you so
much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I feel really grateful, and it's having to say all of these things made me feel kind of reflection upon all of that. I feel grateful that I'm able to tell my story now. I'm really grateful that we talked about the Syrian situation without any fear, um, and I hope for you and for your program um, to to reach out to more people, and I hope my story would be helpful to them. And I want to tell, like, everyone who is watching, is um, there is a concept that we believe in, that the person who hears other people's problem sees their problem as something smaller. So I hope the things I told you about would make you feel that what is you're going through is easier, but not in a way that you would feel that your problems are small and you shouldn't care for them, but in a way that, please, if you feel that you need help, reach out for it. Because um, alongside with having problems, um, the thing that helped me was connecting to people, and I had to learn at some point that I had to ask for help. So when you need therapy, don't hesitate to do it, especially in college years. Um, and also having this platform that you are trying to share people's stories to reach to college students. I think I'm really grateful for that. Thank you for this opportunity for me and for other people to hear all of this great conversations. And yeah, I hope for you the best, and for everyone who is watching, to have a great life, a great mental health. But it's also your responsibility to care for your mental health. It is your responsibility to ask for help.
Mm-hmm. And asking for help means we're strong. It doesn't mean that we're weak. And you've been such an example of that to our community, and your story has been such a gift. So thank you so much again for having the courage and the generosity to share your story with us.
Thank you so much.